So this is a continuation of the previous video that I made, low risk, low reward. I was just talking about some things that I have learned about work and getting these incremental raises and ways to kind of circumvent those circumstances, because the wage system in and of itself is something that we've all just come to accept and think that there's nothing that we can do about it, and that we owe these places our undying loyalty for the sake of the pension, the 401k, the extra dollar or two per hour that you might or might not be earning at the end of your calendar year. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not one of those, oh, let's start a revolution people, because as much as I would like to start a revolution, I understand that bills have to be paid. And you can't just say, oh, I'm going on strike, or I'm going to hold out until this place actually provides me all of the most ideal things that I want. Like, I'm not going to even get a job unless you're giving me a top salary, you're giving me a schedule that gives me an appropriate work-life balance, all those things. I mean, we all have to sacrifice something, and in some ways, once you sign up for a 9 to 5 especially. I mean, there's still sacrifices to be made, even if you're doing entrepreneurship, but there's a lot more sacrifices in any 9 to 5. And you pretty much have no control over those sacrifices, because you have somebody who determines those things for you and says, if you don't do it the way that I want it done, you're fired. So I'm not imploring anyone to go out there and be like, I want this and this or else. But I think the point of what I was trying to say on my first live earlier was taking calculated and planned risks. Meaning that if you are going to approach the conversation and say things that could potentially get you fired or let go of or whatever, you have a backup plan. And if you think that that sounds like a shady way to go about things and you'd rather be honest and transparent, that's because you might not have ever been in a spot where you said things to a job and then realized that they had a backup plan for you not being there. And that happened to me. I remember about 5 or 6 years ago, I was in this job, and when I started the job, I was working at one location. The one location was about a 10-minute drive from my house. So this was very ideal, because the previous job I had done was like a 45-minute drive from my house. Coming back was even further because of traffic and everything, rush hour traffic. So I was like, perfect. I got this job that's really close to my house, not a lot of driving, I don't have to use a lot of gas, and it was one of my main things that I was happy about. And then they had somebody who quit, who walked off the job. They just walked off. They didn't tell anybody that they were leaving. And then my boss came to me and said, Mark, I need a favor. And I said, okay, what's the favor? They said, the favor is that I need you to split between these two locations. The one that you're currently assigned to, and the one that this person walked off of. So I was like, at the time, I wanted to say no, but because I was a new employee, I felt like, oh, I have to be flexible. So if I tell them, no, I don't want to do that, they're going to think away of me already. That's what I was thinking at that time. If I was asked the same question now, I would be like, unfortunately, that's not what I signed up for, and that's not within my driving range of where I'm willing to drive. So I will be staying at this location, because that's a company problem. That's not my problem. You, whatever you did with this guy, or even if it's not something you did, but he decided to leave for whatever reason he decided to leave for. He walked off, no call, no show. Now you have a problem and a deficit. A company will always fill their deficit with people that they already have, if the people that they have are willing to do that, and then they'll use and abuse them for that. So that's what was happening to me. They told me, oh, we're gonna have somebody within a month, so we just need you to cover for like a month, and we already have candidates in the database, and we're gonna just put in one of those candidates, and then you're gonna go back to your full-time schedule at this location. So what happened was I went over there. I remember meeting with all those clients, because that's when I was still doing counseling, and I was meeting with them, and they were like, who are you? I'm like, oh, you remember such and such that used to be your counselor? Well, for personal reasons, he's not coming back. And I remember a lot of them telling me, oh yeah, we already knew he's not coming back. And I'm like, oh, you knew? How did you know? And they were like, because he was telling us a lot of things about how the job was treating him, and he told us that he wasn't going to come back. And the funny thing is, he told the clients that he wasn't going to come back, but he didn't tell the company. So they already knew. So I remember I was just trying to see them, salvage as many people as possible. I would say that I maintained about 70% of his caseload. 30% said they don't want to see anyone but him. But then I gained a whole bunch of new people. So now I was successful in my job location and this new job location. So I'm going back and forth. Monday, Wednesday at this new place, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday at my original place. So after a month had gone by, I went to my boss and I was like, remember we had this 1 month agreement where I cover at this location for 1 month, and then you get the new person to jump in and take over full time, so I can go back to being at my original location that I signed up for full time. And they were like, oh, the process has been a little bit harder than I expected. It's taken a little bit longer than we thought. So we might need you for another few weeks. So I'm like, what's a few weeks? I mean, I've been doing this for the month that we agreed upon. So like a sucker, I kept going and I kept covering. And now I'm entrenched in this thing, because now I have a caseload at both locations that has to be maintained. As you can see, like I said, the more you do is the more that they'll give you to do. So what ended up happening was I kept doing it 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months. Every month I had this discussion with them again. I'm like, remember what we talked about? You said 1 month, now it's 2, now it's 3, now it's 4, now it's 5. By month 6, I had had enough. And again, I went out and started to explore my options in terms of jobs. I found something else. I did the whole interview process, all of that. Except this time, I didn't actually tell them that I had applied elsewhere. I didn't tell them where I was going, because that's not even where my mindset was. But in retrospect, I would have told them that I was going somewhere, just again for the leverage aspect of it. So let me see something. Yeah, so at 6 months, I said to them, now I've been doing this for 6 months. So now I've been doing this for 6 months. So there's either two things that I need, and I need it like within the next 2 weeks. I either need for you to bring that person in that you said that you were going to be bringing in. Or I need an increase in salary for the extra distance and the extra gas and mileage that I have to put on my car to go to this second location that I did not sign up for, that I've honestly been doing y'all a favor in doing. So the boss says to me, basically, no, you're not doing us a favor. Brybug Lewis. Hi, Brybug Lewis. The boss says, no, you're not doing us a favor because one of our company core values is flexibility. But it's like, come on. I have a contract that states your full-time location is here in such and such office. It's written on paper. I never signed a new contract that said you will now be splitting your time between this location and this location. So if we went to some kind of court over it, some work law court or something like that, I would have won. Not saying that that's what I was going to do, but I'm just saying if it came down to that, I would have won such a case. So they were like, if you can't be flexible, then I don't know what you're going to do, but this is what we require for you to be at this job. So I wasn't fired. This was my younger and more irrational self. I handed in my 2 weeks, thinking that giving them the 2 weeks notice was going to be like, oh, this guy's a really great employee and we don't want to lose him. So let's put him back at his original location full time. That's what I thought was going to happen, which was naive of me. The next time I came into work, there was another person there. He said, hi, my name is so-and-so, and I'm your replacement. So when I get there, the office manager pulls me to the side and was like, you gave in your 2 weeks? I was like, yes, I gave in my 2 weeks. And she was like, I wish you would talk to me before you did that, because I would have told you how to negotiate with them to make sure you get what you need, rather than you giving the 2 weeks. Because she was like, the job always hires or interviews for peer specialists, and they have a roster of peer specialists. So I'm sitting here like, oh, so all this time they told me that it was so hard to get somebody. It was not really because it was so hard for them to get somebody. It was because why get somebody else when you can have two for the price of one? In other words, you can have me getting billing for two different job sites, one salary, one set of benefits, half the price, and double the work. Well, not double the work, because even though I was doing the work of two people, I was not doing the same amount of work per se that two people could do, because they had to make some adjustments to my caseload number. But you get the point. So a lot of people would consider it a risk to tell them that you're leaving. And in that case, it was a risk because I did not have a plan B. But with a plan B, with a backup plan in hand, I think it is always worth it to express whatever your needs might be. Whether it's the way they treat you at the job, whether it's the way they pay you, whether it's vacation time. As much as they like to act like nothing is negotiable, everything in life is negotiable. Somebody told me that one time, and I was like, that's not true. But then I was like, you know what? It is true, because how did we get here in the first place? Somebody had to create this rule, and then people had to agree to it. That's how it got there. So how do you change a rule? There's a couple of ways, but the best way and the least risky way is negotiation. So I think that I was telling a story before I got off of the negotiation that I had with a previous job, but I went off track. I told a whole new story. I just want to end this by talking about my page. So I asked for suggestions when I made what I said was my last live for this page about a month ago. And one suggestion was that I make a page where I talk about different things relating to work. And I actually really like that idea, because it seems like that's a lot of what I do anyways. So therefore, I'm thinking of starting a brand new YouTube page where I talk about my work history from the beginning till now, and the different things that I've learned, and my journey towards entrepreneurship. I think that I'm going to create something like that and get that going soon. But in the meantime, I want to thank all y'all for your support. Please don't hesitate to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to get notified of when I drop some more great content. Thank you.